All right, looks like we are going second. So definitely don't need 2 whole new worlds. Everything else looks pretty good. We have some good ramp cards. We have our Captain Hook shift into now grab your sword, whole new world. So this should be a pretty good start for us. We're going against Pixel-born Malakir. So Inca Grandma, we want to match the Captain Hook here, turn 1. Opponent inks a smash and passes turn. The Captain Hook standoff has begun. We're going to go ahead and put away this Maurice. Get our Grandma out. Try to get some ramp options going for us. So I think about whether to ink Beastmere or Maleficent here. And I think I want to try and get some bigger threats on the board before we whole new world, so I held on to the Maleficent. So I actually wait for questing on Captain Hook because I'm afraid that my opponent will go into Tinkerbell and then kill our Captain Hook, so I choose not to quest with him. Okay, and we draw into Mickey. So that means we don't have another Inkable, unfortunately. So I decided to go ahead and just trade just to get that threat off the board. And to get to our 5th ink, we will go into Mickey. Arguably, not a great play there, but the fact that our only options were to sing a whole new world or ink Maleficent and play a whole new world, or just use grab your swords once and then we get traded into by Tinkerbell. Just didn't feel that great. Okay, so now we get our Maleficent out. We're holding a lot of swords. I go ahead and take the trade with Captain Hook since he is at his 1 strength at the moment. So that means if he decides to trade in now, he won't get the full trade off. Opponent inks another smash, gets the Tinkerbell out. And does some questing with Captain Hook. So first I think about inking the bell. But seeing as how we kind of want to stall out some turns to get rid of some of these swords. And then I think that I could ink grab your sword with Bell. But you actually cannot do that. So my opponent plays Be Our Guest to grab a Cerberus. Definitely a great card to have against Maleficent. Go ahead and continue inking just to get us a little bit closer to where we need to be. Now go ahead and hard cast. Grab your sword just in case he wants to try and trade into the Mickey. He wouldn't get as much value. Although he is playing Amber, so he could play Rapunzel, and that would hurt. Also can't kill the Maleficent at the moment with Tinkerbell, so that also feels pretty good. So, bit of a frustrating board state. Does decide to trade into Tinkerbell and add 2 damage to Belle. We are also in a frustrating board state here because although we drew into Hades, we don't have an Inkable. So I decided to see if we can get an Inkable, perhaps a removal card for this Cerberus. Do get the Maurice, and we have our golden flower. And probably should have played the flower first instead of inking the bell, but it's what it is. And so we pop the flower to make sure Maleficent doesn't get one shot by the Cerberus. We take advantage of Belle's passive to ink another card, allowing us to draw another card with Maurice after playing an item. And we keep Belle up because next turn we'll be able to ink 2 and swing for 5 lore. My opponent does have a fresh new hand. He is at the same amount of ink that we're at. We just have a more developed board state. So we'll see how they choose to come back from this. Starts off by singing Be Our Guest. Perhaps digging for a Tinkerbell or removal option. Grabs a Stitch. Baby Tink out and is able to recover that Tinkerbell Giant Fairy from earlier. Does opt in to trade at least 1 hit with the Cerberus, which is great, setting him up for a Giant Tink 1 damage kill. So go ahead and ink another card. And here's where I make a mistake. I learned that, yes, you can definitely not ink uninkable cards with Belle's second ink effect. So that was a blunder on my side. And it kind of razzled me up, so I almost quest thinking I'm singing. But then finally get back in my senses, and we sing a whole new world here with, I believe, Maleficent. So that gets rid of the giant tink again out of my opponent's hand, so we're hoping he doesn't pull into that. Do get some nice removal options in our hand. At this point, I'm just kind of thinking, is it better to get rid of the Cerberus or get rid of the Tinkerbell so that she doesn't come down with Rush? So I choose to get rid of the Cerberus, even though Bell will take the hit, and my opponent concedes from there. Do have one of the combo pieces with Captain Hook. Not interested in Hades. We do have the Grandma into Mickey Mouse. And we draw some more large cards, so... Ah, it's our friend, Pixelborn Malachar. Welcome back. Alright. So, put away the Let It Go. So you do have a lot of nice targets for Detective Mickey here. And some pretty decent ramp into the Hades if needed. So that's just a matter of what to ink here. Since my opponent doesn't play any pressure turn 1 or turn 2, we end up just getting rid of the Captain Hook and taking a more ramp forward approach. Arguably not the best play since we did have the larger Captain Hook, but I think my brain was so focused on getting Mickey Mouse out on turn 3 and then into Maleficent or Captain. Turn 4, I just took this route instead. Moana gets inked. My opponent does decide to trade into the Grandma, putting us at 5. Rapunzel grabs a card off the Tinkerbell, and we draw into exactly what we needed. So I decide that since we have a whole new world, we may have to move a little bit quicker here. I throw down the Captain Hook since he's able to trade into Rapunzel or the big Tinkerbell. And since Maleficent is inkable, that can give us another ink that we can throw in there if we decide to. We're also coming up on our 7th ink for Hades, which is nice. Fortunately, my opponent only has the Smash available on his turn 5. So I end up taking out the Tinkerbell so that it doesn't come down with Rush. It's a lot bigger threat than a Rapunzel. Quest. Putting out some more singers feels good. We don't really have... Huh. So we did have the Tinkerbell, I think. Didn't look like that was the newest card drawn. Fortunately, we get a second Holy World, so bit of an odd play, but I want to get that other one out of our hand and then choose to just sing with this. I do this because I'm looking for another removal option for that Tinkerbell. As you can see, I'm really struggling to figure out if I should sing this or not, or just take the 2 lore from Hades. And I decide it's better to sing. We get another singer out here. And to protect our other Captain Hook from the Rapunzel trade, we go ahead and remove this 3 damage with our flower. Now remember, we do run Tamatoa, so the flowers are recoverable for both on play and questing through Tamatoa. And you'll especially want to use them in situations like that where you could have a pretty rough trade against you. Opponent decides to go pretty wide here. 3 very strong cards. And somehow we draw into another whole new world. So when you have all these level 5s or 5 cost singers on the board, it gets a little bit hairier to try and think through a strategy. Luckily, my opponent doesn't have anything rested or exerted, so we don't have to think about trading into them. It's more just, do I lore with this character? Do I see what we get off Whole New World? Yeah, where's my ink? Where should my ink be allocated? So Cerberus, obviously a giant threat that we needed to remove. And then we get some new cards out with 8 ink still available. This is feeling pretty good. So I go for Maurice just to kind of help our card draw out and get another singer on board. And now we have our 2 removal options. We have double grab your sword. Lots of ways to deal with the board next turn. And even though we don't have draw options currently in our hand, we have 2 beast mirrors, so. And with Maurice, if we draw into more items, that can help our draw power. Okay, my opponent plays Part of Your World, grabbing a Tiny Tink, playing a Tiny Tink, playing an Aerial, find and grab your sword, very nice. So what's nice about the large Captain Hooks is they are protected from a lot of small threats with Challenger on them. See, some ink could go through, and now it's just a matter of casting double grab your sword to clear out the board. And after that, my opponent concedes. Alright, gonna be all to play this time. Bit of an odd hand. We have Maurice, we have some items. For some better items, I keep Maurice here just because if we don't get into a card that can draw stuff for us, then we will definitely run out of gas, so. But since we picked up the beast mirror, I think we'll be fine. And look who it is, Pixelborn Malachur. Third game together. We have to stop meeting like this, Malachur. Alright, so we get our grandma out. Our board's looking pretty juicy right now. We have the turn 3 hook. If we could draw a whole new world, we'll be in a very strong position. Oh, feels good. So go into our hook. I have to decide a way to turn here just to get a little bit more ink. And to be on the, to have our full 4 ink available and ready to play. So thinking about whether to play the Beast Mirror out now, just in case we don't get a card to draw, but let's just play out the whole new world. Let's see what we can get out here. End up drawing into the Beast Mirror anyway. We are reaching our... We have 2 grandma out. Do have an inkable card. If things do go sour, we could just play the Let It Go. We do have 2 other removal options, so this is a pretty solid hand going into our mid game. So it would have been great if we played that earlier Beast Mirror before we did a whole new world, but because then we have this additional Beast Mirror to ink. But we go ahead and get rid of that, Let It Go, because we do have 2 Hades. And so we want to get another singer on board here. Think about not inking, or sorry, not questing with the Captain Hook, but even if Tinkerbell does come down, we can get the cleanup with Maleficent. Opponent plays Yet Forgotten Me, which does hurt a little bit, but luckily we do have a whole new world, and I'd rather the opponent have played that than Giant Tinkerbell. Opponent opting to hit us with 3 damage there, perhaps lining up Tinkerbell for the kill. That gives us access to trade with the Hans with Grandma if we'd like to. So go ahead and throw that into our ink. Opponent probably doesn't like that. Grandma could trade it to Hans here, so may end up trading with the Tinkerbell. Okay, decides not to. Lucky for us, we do draw an inkable card. And now it's just a matter of sequencing this correctly. So go ahead and Hades into the Tinkerbell, preventing the rush from coming down. Go ahead and trade into Eric to keep us alive. And trade into Hans, getting us additional ink. And now we have 3 singers available for Whole New World. If opponent does have a way to discard our Whole New World, we still have Beast Mirror as an option. They do decide to concede, and that wraps up our final game with Malacurves. Good 3 games, my friend. Okay, so we're going to be going second in this match, and I wanted to add this as kind of a bonus game just because it gets absolutely ridiculous, the back and forth that we both have. I thought you guys would get a kick out of it. So we do have a Whole New World. That feels good. However, we have 3 Fishbone Quills, which is a little ridiculous. Going against Pixelborn Entropy. Very great player. It's a pleasure playing you if you are watching this video. Opponent is inking a Giant Tink. Gets down Prince Eric. Seems like a very good play. Go ahead and get a Grandma out. So our opponent's playing Sapphire Steel as well. So we have a bit of a mirror match here. Although they are running the Aurora package, which is very strong in this mirror match, considering our only removal options are... well, strong removal options, I should say, are Hades and Let It Go for single target, which means we'd have to burn through the Aurora and then to another target. Go ahead and Fishbone out the Hades, since we will be looking to sing a Whole New World. Opponent inks a Let It Go. Now we see the shifts come in. Turns out Aurora is a very good card. Alright, so we get another Hades. Opt for getting some additional ink here. Of the Grab Your Sword. And inking the Beast Mirror. So this is setting us up basically for a Hades into a Whole New World if we decide to. We could also trade with Aurora, with Captain Hook, and then play out the Hades for another threat that comes out. So it's a pretty good spot to be in. Though he does get the Smash and Fire the Cannons, which will set us back a whole turn. It's a good play knowing that we are playing silver, and so we'd probably be looking to do a Whole New World. And we are just trying to really turbo out. So we hope our opponent doesn't have a Hades here, because that could really hurt. Or Let It Go. Really any hard removal. And unfortunately they do have it. So that puts a big halt to our plans. It would have been nice to be able to sing and then have a fresh 9 ink. Opponent only has 1 card as well, with a dominating board, dominating lead, lore. I decide to just hard cast this because we need to get some threats on board. So thinking about Maurice versus Maleficent here. Benefit of Maurice would mean that we could quest next turn, play Beast Smear for free, draw a card. But has a little bit fewer stats than Maleficent. So we couldn't trade into the Prince Eric as well. Opponent goes for a little bit of a slower play, getting out the fish bones to set up future turns. He knows that I'm playing a whole new world, so doesn't want to get caught with a lot of ink in hand. And seeing my opponent begin to dump out their hand is letting me know that they do have a whole new world available. Get the Tinkerbell out. They are halfway to victory. So I see the Tinkerbell. Definitely don't want Big Tink to get shifted in, so I end up spending the 2 grab your sword, which now means that Maurice can trade into Hades at some point. It's also allowing us to dump out a few cards from our hand in case the opponent does play Hold the World. Opponent gets the bell out. It's also able to bounce our card with Let It Go. We see the bell threat. Must take care of that. I'll get our opponent way too close to victory. So get Eye of the Fates out, draw a card. Thought about questing to get the free Beast Mirror out, but making sure the opponent's board is low while we believe that they have a whole new world in hand is better for us, so now they can't sing it. And again, because we know that they have, or we assume that they have that, we get the last card out of our hand that we can. Get the maximum amount of cards off of a whole new world, if that is what they have. Which my opponent is playing very well, so I would assume that's why they did the fishbone quill strategy on one of the previous turns. So we see it come out. Opponent has to deal with our board now, so the tempo has shifted in our favor. We had to hard cast one, they had to hard cast one, and you kind of see how this back and forth has been going. Building up each other's ink with Hades and Let It Go. The only difference here is my opponent has a commanding lead in lore. And so we're going to have to do whatever we can to get that stabilized. Opponent does get out the Aurora, which hurts for us. Knowing that we can no longer target Bell. Every time a whole new world is played, it's like you're resetting the game, and it feels like you have so many strategies you can go with. So I'm sure there are tons of misplays happening throughout this video. That's why I kind of just added it as a bonus video. So we opt for the Maurice here. The reason for that is now whenever we play items, we are getting double the amount of items. We're trying to think if we're gonna need Maurice to sing anything. So we hard cast Beast Mirror, do draw into another item. So we hard cast that, get another 2 cards. Find another item, get another 2 cards. And we're just really digging for some removal here. And unfortunately, even through 6 cards, we couldn't find another Grab Your Sword or Let It Go with Hades or anything like that. And we have to play, draw another 2 cards, and we still don't find an answer. Getting the bell off of the board right now is critical. My opponent's threatening near lethal at this point. And there are a million thoughts going through my head to maybe try and tie up the race. Because we wasted so much lore, or sorry, because we wasted so much ink trying to find an answer, we couldn't play out our Tamatoa, which would have +7 lore. So let's see, the 7 lore plus the, what did we have? 2, 4 from Hades, and put us at 5. 2, 4, 6. +7 is 13. Would have been 18 with Belle if she survives. Would have been game if we put out the Tamatoa. But the thing is, our opponent has a singer on board. They have, you know, they could have removal options in their hand at this point. So this is a very interesting turn, to say the least. When you have so many cards and so much ink and so many singers, it's a little difficult to choose the best option. I was trying to play more conservatively and just find the removal, though. So at this point, I'm trying to just do whatever I can to get damage on the board in case we draw into another Grab Your Sword. So sorry, Entropy, for taking so long there. Just felt like a lot was happening. And then I do go and look and see how many Grab Your Sword I've used, and we have used a bunch. So there was only 1 in the deck. That's why it was so difficult to find. So we have 13 cards remaining in our deck, which means we probably won't want to use a whole new world here. We did find a Let It Go. Opponent gets the bell off the board, making sure that we can't do any cheeky plays and swing the tempo. Opponent is quickly reaching the 20 ink count. And we are right behind them. If this is a game of ink, maybe much more interesting. Opponent plays a whole new world, bringing us to 6 cards now in our deck. This was good because they probably realized we had grab your sword, and 3 of those in the discard pile, so they were hoping to maybe discard it. Little did they know, I think we might have inked it earlier. Not even, I'll have to go back and watch the replay yet again, but I'm thinking we might have inked it through Fishbone Quill. It's another fun piece about Lorcana is you're not able to see what's in your ink. So I had no idea at this moment. So we have double Let It Go in our hand. So we were able to clear a couple of threats. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of characters on the board. So decide to hardcast both of those. Get out and just flood the board with all the threats that we have. But it still only puts us at 12. And 13 would only get us to 19. We're running out of removal options here. So do what we can, just heal up the Hades. Hopefully there's no big tricks they can do. Opponent just needs 1 lore at this point. Just needs to quest 1 time. So we can get to 18, and then with Eye of Fates we can get to 19. However, if we did draw into another Eye of Fates, we could get to 20. But our opponent has the Grab Your Sword, taking out all 3 Captain Hooks. Opponent gets rid of the Eye of Fate with Beast. Another threat on the board. And there's that Aurora again. That pesky Aurora. And I'm hovering over A Whole New World. And what's interesting is you're not allowed to play it since there are less than 7 cards in hand. And so we end up fishboning it away. Maleficent doesn't do anything for us this turn, and so we ink it. We get 1 Hades. We go for something else, and alas, it is a magic golden flower. The healing that we needed for our soul. We don't draw another card because we only have 2 cards left in the deck. Tamatoa. The one that we abandoned in search of removal options has come back yet again to show us that he was probably the card that would have won us the game, perhaps. Pass to my opponent. Choose not to concede. I want them to get that tasty victory. As both of us fought for tempo, it felt like an uphill battle. Entropy gets the victory, and I tip my hat to them. Well played, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch these videos. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you learned something today. If you're interested in any kind of trading card game supplies, my name is D-Town. I'm the founder of Interlude.us. We are a TCG supply shop from Dallas, Texas, and we have everything that you need to protect your cards, whether you're a collector or a player. $1 gets donated for every single item that you purchase to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. So go get you some spicy anime supplies, and we'll see you in the next video.